and it would get stuck under that layer of glass, so to speak. All right, so it was the power in these are pretty incredible. All right. What's interesting is, after you drop the first one, we didn't actually plan on dropping a second. We then reached out once again to Emperor Hirohito and Hideki Tojo and said, please surrender. We don't want to do this again. But that was once again rejected, and we end up dropping a second atomic bomb. Now, why Nagasaki? It wasn't even on that top 6 cities. Well, as we were heading for one of the other cities on the list, there was bad weather that the pilots had to avoid. And you had a very specific amount of fuel, and when you're carrying such a heavy weapon, right, they weren't actually going to be able to get back to the aircraft carrier they took off from if they had to carry the bomb any further. So because of that, they radioed in and said, hey, we're flying over Nagasaki, can we drop it here instead because our plane is going to run out of fuel if we don't. And that would be bad news for the pilots if it ran out of fuel and they have an atomic bomb in the cargo.
Yeah.
Right? So it gets approved, they drop it on Nagasaki, 25,000 people are killed immediately, and that was on August 9th. All right. So here's some of the pictures of what the aftermath looked like. So this was Hiroshima. You could see like how burned through everything.
Nuclear fallout.
Yeah. Here's Nagasaki.
How's that thing still?
Some things survive, some things don't. I don't know. It's weird. Here's a pile of dead bodies.
Is that a head?
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I think
Afterwards, for the people that weren't in the initial blast radius, if you're further out, you could still receive burns and other things from the radiation. So a lot of people died not from the initial blast, but then, even sometimes a few years afterwards. All right, so you could see like this man and the burns he got on his back. You can see how his skin got deformed. Yeah, it's a really pretty sight. Here's another one. So a lot of people passed away later on. A lot of people got cancer from it, but anywhere within about 25 miles could have been affected. All right, the Japanese are finally going to surrender on August 14th. Emperor Hirohito decides that he's finally going to go against Hideki Tojo and make the decision for the country that they are going to surrender and get out of World War II. And they'll sign, and by the way, guys, feel free to not put in how many people died. That's fine. Those 2 bullet points are fine to ignore. They sign their surrender on the USS Missouri ship, and the war with Japan is now over. It's known as Victory over Japan Day, but the amazing thing is that the Japanese were so brainwashed that there was actually a group of people that tried to rebel against the government for surrendering. They didn't want to surrender, even after both of those nuclear explosions happened. So it really kind of shows how hard it was going to be to defeat them, and if we would have gone in there with our, with ground soldiers, a lot more people probably would have died.
Turn it in.
Once you finish, turn it in.